Okay, hey, welcome to today's TLI. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk about finding and evaluating open educational resources. So at the end of this session, you should be able to locate quality OER in your field, describe some potential benefits of teaching with OER, and get involved by reviewing existing OER. So we'll get started. Okay, so I like to start with the definition just because there's some confusion about what differentiates OER from other types of open resources. So open educational resources are specifically learning, teaching, and research materials that have been released under an open license that permits no cost access, reuse, repurpose, adaptation, and/or redistribution by others. That's the UNESCO definition. OERs can include a wide range of materials used in teaching, from assessments to assignments, books, case studies, tutorials, you name it, those ancillaries that you use in teaching. So the key to what makes something an open educational resource is called open licensing. So a system of open licensing called Creative Commons has been created to give authors choices on how they share their work and what permission they give to users of that work. The authors of open educational resources retain copyright to their version. They're just giving permission to the rest of us to use and adapt that work. This infographic lists the 5 R's that are necessary for creating and using OER. So open authors need to tell you what permissions they are giving you when they publish their work. So are they giving you just the right to retain the work, to download and save it, to reuse it as often as needed, to revise, to remix, or to redistribute? So various combinations of those make up the Creative Commons licenses. So in terms of finding OER, I just wanted to real quick mention how I think of open educational practices. So open educational practices include a large array of activities, which you can use bits and pieces of, whatever helps with your pedagogy. So you can adopt an OER in your class, or you can teach with regular resources and use open pedagogy, but it's a lot easier if you have open educational resources to use flexible teaching strategies because you've been given those permissions to use that material in different ways. So today, for this session, we're going to be focusing on how you can find and review quality open educational resources. So I'm gonna grab this. Let's see if I can grab that link, put this in the chat real quick. So this is a tool that I have shared with faculty in the past who have appreciated using it. This may or may not be helpful for you, but it kind of walks you through the steps to finding OER. I mean, it walks you through the steps to finding any resource that is useful, but it has specific sections in it related to OER. So the first step when you want to look for something, obviously, is to prepare a search strategy. So this is the same for traditional resources, library resources, articles, you name it. Same thing for OER. So you want to think about what your topics, keywords, and subjects are. And on the worksheet, you can write that down and brainstorm a little bit. The next thing that you can do is use resources that are already existing. I have developed an open education resource guide that has a lot of this stuff in there. You can bookmark this and go back to it. The third tab has it's called Find and Evaluate OER, which is similar to the name of this class. So I've curated there some of the top websites for finding good OER and explained a little bit of the differences between them depending on what you're looking for. So some of the big ones you might have heard of. Well, you might have heard of OpenStax, which I don't have listed on this slide because I actually don't like that as a place to start. It's got a lot of great content, but it's very narrow. It's a lot of science, a little bit of social science. It's not as broad. So if you're not specifically looking for things in the hard sciences, it can be harder to find things in OpenStax. I like to use Open Textbook Library, which is the University of Minnesota. They aggregate primarily open textbook content. So this is not a publishing platform. People don't go to Open Textbook Library and publish their book there, but they go to the Open Textbook Library and link back to where they have published the book. The thing with open educational resources is they're available all over the place. They're available in individual institutional repositories. They're available in GitHub. They're available, you name it. You can find open educational resources. And again, the way you determine if it's an OER is if you see the Creative Commons licensing. And I'll show you some examples in a minute. So Open Textbook Library is a great place to start if you're looking for a traditional type textbook. OER Commons is another great one because it's an aggregator of open materials, but it includes beyond just textbooks. And it also includes beyond just higher education. So actually there's a lot of K-12 material in OER Commons. So the good thing about that is that they've got some really great refining tools at that website. So if you're getting bogged down in a lot of stuff that you're not interested in, you can use those refined tools to limit to undergraduate, graduate level, and get some resources that are more appropriate for you. But it includes syllabi, courses, things beyond just traditional textbooks. Skills Commons is an interesting one. It's specifically resources related to workforce development. So if you teach in an area that has a lot of overlap with that, you might find some really good stuff here. LibreTexts is an open source platform that's just got a good lot of like entire open courses that have textbooks and curricular materials built in. I just wanted to mention that other like traditional publishers have started publishing collections of open ebooks as well. So that's a place to go if it's something that you're familiar with. So JSTOR is an example. They have open ebooks. If you just search for in Google JSTOR open ebooks, you'll get a bunch of results. Okay. And as I mentioned before, because open educational resources are found pretty much anywhere, an open web search is also a good but challenging option for finding OER, because you're not going to have to worry about like the limited nature of what's in those other repositories. So something I do when I'm searching Google for an OER is I use a lot of quotations and bundling things together. So I might, if my, I don't know, let me think of a topic. So if my topic is qualitative research, I might put qualitative research in quotes and then put OER by itself also in quotes, and then maybe textbook in quotes. And what that tells Google is you want that specific word to be in every result that you get. And I've had some success using that strategy. I'm going to show some examples in a minute. We're going to do some example searches. Another thing to consider is also using library resources. Now, these are not traditional OER. We have paid for these things. We have subscriptions to these databases, but it is an alternative resource that you can use in your courses. So I like to mention it. It's a way that you can grab individual chapters from ebooks, individual articles, and not have to have students look at a whole textbook when you really only need one chapter. So we do, actually have full text ebooks in our collection where you can link to an individual chapter. So there's some things to keep in mind, but just talk to us about that, and we can give you some tips. Okay, so the other thing that the worksheet that I presented earlier does is it walks you through how to evaluate content. And I'm going to just actually jump over there for a minute. and walk through that section just a little bit. Okay, close that. So, oh yes, and so when you're in the worksheet and you're doing that previous step where you're looking at a lot of different places, it can be kind of like a rabbit hole trying to find OER. You keep going down different paths. You'll find things in the open search and you forget what you looked at already. And so I like to keep a log kind of even the good, even the bad things that I find. I'll go ahead and put their URL there and like say what I don't like about it so I don't go and review it again. So what you want to look at in terms of evaluating open educational resources. Again, many of these things are the same ways you would evaluate any content for your class. Relevance and fit. Is it the right audience? Is the content clearly written and well organized? Is it a good production quality? The things you want to think about in terms of OER specifically, especially are accessibility. You are choosing and curating these materials for your students, so you want to take a little bit of extra time to make sure that these things are accessible. Something to look for is the website where you're getting the OER from. Does it offer it in alternative formats? So are you able to download it as a PDF? Are you able to download it as an EPUB, which is a kind of format that screen readers can read really well? Does it have, if it's an audio or video, does it have a transcript or subtitles? Do the images have alt text? So all these kinds of things, I'm not going to get into detail today, but in a few weeks, I'm going to do another one of these sessions specifically looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I will cover this accessibility piece a little bit more at that time. So I encourage you to check that out. The other thing you can do with OER is the slides I'm going to show you and demonstrate in a minute is a lot of them will have really good reviews from other authors. And this is actually a great way to get involved in learning more about OER and to contribute to the community. You may have decided that you're not finding really good content for your class and you're not ready to use it, but you can use that as an opportunity to write some reviews or even submit feedback to the authors of these resources. Part of being involved in OERs is this open community and sharing of pedagogical practices. And so a lot of times people who've written OER and published them will really welcome your feedback and comments so that they can make their sources better. Yes, Sarah. Sorry, I'm just noticing the comments. Yep, in JSTOR. Yes, I will talk about these in a minute. I'm going to look at these aggregators. I'm going to just get through this presentation and then we'll just walk through some example searches and talk through all these other things. Okay, so the other thing you want to look for again is which kind of Creative Commons license does it have? So if you want to adopt an OER for your class, and you might want to modify it or change it in any way, you want to make sure that the license agreement that author has applied allows you to do that. The Creative Commons website, if you just Google Creative Commons, it lists all the different licenses and you can get an idea for which kind of license you want. And I'll demonstrate that in a minute too as well. You want to also consider inclusiveness. This is something that you might want to consider for your traditional textbook resources as well. So there's a little chart here and you can kind of like plot out the different things you've found and see how they compare to these different categories. Okay, there's a reflection exercise in there. And then at the end of this worksheet, I've also got some sort of guidelines for those different OER sites. Okay. Okay. Oh, I forgot in my PowerPoint, I went through all these things. So we're going to do this just real quick review. Yes. So again, here's the different types of licenses, the 5 R's of OER: retain, reuse, revise, remix, redistribute. And that is how you know that you've got an OER in your hands, if you're allowed to do those things. These are some guidelines for looking at technology usability. Depending on the website, A lot of the main ones, OER Commons, Open Textbook Library, this stuff is already built into those. But like I said, a lot of open educational resources are just self-published in ways that maybe aren't as usable for your students. So you just want to take a look at that. Okay, accessibility. Again, those are the guidelines for that. And universal design for learning, which is the sort of inclusivity piece that I was talking about. The great thing about open educational resources, if you are familiar with universal design for learning, is one of the aspects of it is localizing it to your students, the people you're teaching. That's something that can be done more easily with open educational resources, because you can use the materials that you get and then you can apply it to your local situation, or you can have your students apply it. And that's a great way to include universal design for learning. Okay, bunch of links. And then I'm going to go ahead and, okay, we're going to search. So let me open this up a little bit bigger so I can see it better. Okay, I had a request to look up, hold on a second. Actually, I have a question because I do have an attendee that's here. Sarah Hazelmeyer, thank you for joining. Do you have any example searches you'd like me to try for an open textbook?
Let's search for Spanish textbooks.
Ah, good. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we'll just go real broad in the beginning. And this, again, this is the Open Textbook Library, University of Minnesota. I'm going to point out a couple of things on this page. They put, all the latest books that they've published are up here at the top. Oh, look at this, Sarah. I don't know what this is because it's in Spanish, but there you go. Oh, and here's another one in Spanish. We'll click on those in a minute so we can see what those are. But the other thing I wanted to show you is there's a coming soon section. And here we go. Coming soon, very soon, is our own Lisa Day's open textbook, Accessible Appalachia. And we are currently in the editing phase for that book, but it is going to be published within the next academic year. So a couple ways you can search. Of course, you could just browse by subject. So maybe Spanish is pretty broad. Maybe we should start with that. Let's see if there's a languages, humanities, languages. Okay, linguistics, languages. We'll just click on languages. It's got filters built in. So if here are those license agreements. Attribution CC BY is the most permissions possible. So if you do that license, all you have to do is just basically cite the author. You have to attribute the author when you use that resource. And then from least restrictive to most restrictive. So okay. Let's see. I was hoping it would have Brad, whatever you want. I'm just doing, so these test searches would be a faculty member who's maybe wanting to use an OER in their class for a textbook. I mean, but you could use it as a student too. I have looked for OER for classes I've been in where the textbook that I have, I'm not getting what I need from it. I go find an OER and get more information. So that's another possibility. So I was kind of hoping there would be, oh, here we go. Spanish filter. Okay. So see, this is a problem because I don't speak, oh, a collection of stories written. Okay, so this is good because this shows you an example of an open pedagogy project, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks with Dr. Parrott. We're going to do one of these TLIs on open pedagogy. So this is a class assignment where students wrote stories and they published it as this book. So this is an OER created by students, and that's open pedagogy where students are involved in creation of materials. Okay, but we are looking maybe for a Spanish, maybe like an intro Spanish or something. So I'm kind of scrolling. There's not a lot in here. Hang on. So that was a tagging problem. So I did a broad search just now for Spanish, and I did get beginning Spanish. It's got 31 reviews. Let's open in that. It was published in 2018. So this has a CC BY non-commercial share alike license. So this means you cannot make money off of this, and you have to share it using the exact same license. So if you took this book and adapted it and put it out there in the world, you would have to use the same license. That's what that means. Okay, so there's some really nice detailed reviews. What the Open Textbook Library does is they give you categories to give feedback on. So comprehensiveness, content accuracy, relevancy, clarity, consistency, all these things. I mentioned at the beginning of this that this is a way that you can get involved as you're reviewing open textbooks. You can submit a review. Let's see, where do you submit a review? Here, let's see. Okay. All right, so if I click on that link, I can go learn how to submit a review of this textbook. I can also suggest an edit to the record on the page if there's something that looks strange. If I'm a professor and I have created ancillary material around this, I can actually submit that and it will connect it to it. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and look. So this one only has PDF available. So we'll go ahead and click on that, see where it takes us. Oh, it's just an actual like PDF. So here's what it looks like. You know, this might not be the most accessible. I might, if before I used this, I might want to do some accessibility checking to make sure that this is accessible. All right, let's see what else was on here. Spanish 1, beginning language and culture. Again, this is just a PDF. Humboldt State. Here's intermediate Spanish for education professionals, University of Iowa. They do great work. So let's go to University of Iowa. Okay, so here's where you can see this one actually has two different formats available. So I can download a PDF or I can go look at it online. So let's look at it online real quick. And this is in Pressbooks, which is a common platform for publishing open educational resources. And it's got like a contents, all this contents down here, or you can just click on over and just read the book and navigate it this way. There's usually a preface about the book. This one actually has H5P activities, which are integrated homework activities that you can use if you have an LMS where you can import those things. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's try that same search over in OER Commons and see what we get. So again, right from the beginning, they give you all these different filters just because it's such a broadly focused resource. So I'm not actually going to do that. I'm going to say education level. I don't know if it'll let me pick two. It won't. I'll just do college upper division. Okay. So interface is a little bit different. And it tells you on the OER Commons page right up front all the information about what type of resource it is. So here, this includes a full course, a full online course, and a textbook. This is just a lesson plan. This is a syllabus. You see, so there's just a ton of different stuff in OER Commons that you wouldn't find in the Open Textbook Library. And this one also gives you some more information about the Creative Commons license that's been applied. Yep. I have noticed that there are fewer reviews in OER Commons, and I think that's because the Open Textbook Library actually has a training program where they build in, when they teach faculty how to use OER, part of that workshop is having faculty go in and do reviews. So they end up getting a lot of reviews, more than in the other sites I've seen. I'm going to limit this to just textbooks. Okay. Let's go in here and see what this looks like. So with OER Commons, you will get a nice description here. If you're in a field that has standards alignment, this is especially true for the K-12 content, it'll show you what standards it aligns to. It's got some tags. Click on that, see where it takes me. So this actually is published in here. So like I said before, the Open Textbook Library most of the time will take you out of the Open Textbook Library into a native interface where somebody has published. OER Commons actually has a publishing tool that you can use. If you want to publish something in OER Commons, you can as an author. Up here, there's this red thing that says Add OER, and there's a whole process where you can do that. Yeah, this is this whole course. I don't know how you get to just the textbook, but it's in here somewhere. Yeah, so that's kind of the downside of OER Commons is you kind of have to poke around a little bit. If you are looking for more of a traditional textbook, it can be harder to find those sometimes. Okay. And then let me show you a couple of these other ones. So like I said, the world of open publishing is big. There's stuff all over the place. This Open Washington site doesn't have individual titles. This is basically a list of other places where you can go and find stuff. I like this one because it's a good place for other types of content. So this has a nice current updated list of a place where you could get open images. I love the Library of Congress's open image library. Fantastic. If you're looking for visual sources for presentations and stuff, really cool stuff in here. Now this is considered public domain, which is not technically the same as open educational resources, but you can use them in the same way. So public domain works are works that are no longer under copyright. Okay. Open video and audio. Yeah. So that's Open Washington. And then we'll real quick look at Skills Commons. Okay. Let's browse by industry. All right. So the types of things that are in here: agriculture, utilities, construction, manufacturing, healthcare, public administration. Let's look at one of these. I want to see what this is. Okay. So Manchester Community College has published a 2-part course on internship, job search, and professional skills in the workplace. Anybody can access this resource. And that downloaded somewhere on my laptop. There it is. It's a zip. Okay. So open that. And this is in a different screen. Yes. So what that downloaded was a file that had like 5 different Word documents. So Word documents so that they're easy for you as a user to edit and change them and adapt them, but it also had some PDFs that were nice quality. Okay. I'm going to stop talking for a minute and see if Sarah or Brad have any questions that aren't in here. Okay.
I don't have any questions, Kelly, but this is super
Did you
informative.
Good. Actually, I'm going to do another search real quick. Hold on. Let me get back to, we'll do it in the open textbook library. No, we'll do it in here. Let's see, question in the chat from Sarah that I missed a really long time ago. Oh, the aggregators, filters. Yes, yes. As you've seen, Sarah, there are filters pretty much in all these aggregators. Okay, I want to start over and search for, I know that Sarah is an instruction librarian. Okay. So here's an open textbook, academic library instruction. Yep. To help librarians create and guide instruction in the academic library realm. Okay, hold on. We're just going to do this. A Fall 19 primer for fledgling information professional.
I'm a fledgling. That's me.
Are you still a fledgling? I don't know if you count as a fledgling. So this is a nice, I've actually seen this book before. So see, it's got, people have this idea, I think, of open educational resources that they're not high quality, they don't look good, they're not reviewed. A lot of them, most of them have gotten a nice look now because they're published in places like Pressbooks that gives it a nice polished published look. Okay, a pedagogical manifesto. So I think this probably was a project from this person to learn more about making OER maybe. And that is totally something that you can do. If you are interested in creating OER, I will also be doing a session about that near the end of the month. Let me see if I can find my stop share button here. Okay. Right. So, any other questions? Don't see any other questions. I think that's it. Thanks everybody for coming. I am always available to help. I have a faculty member that gave me a whole list of textbooks and she wants me to see if I can find OER for them. I'm not going to have time to go through the entire list, but I'm going to see if I can find a few and give her an example of where to look for those things. And I'm happy to do that. And your library liaison is also happy to help you see what kinds of OER we can help you find out there in the world. So I think that's it, Brad.
Thank you, Kelly. This was great.